Hello, human peoples. You're listening to the podcast network of Gamefully Unemployed. Support us and gain access to great exclusive podcasts like Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and our latest show, Spiel Boys. Head over to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. We do game streaming, movie nights with our patrons every Friday night, and you can even commission your own podcast about anything you want. Literally anything, within reason, and we have to do it. You are quite frankly out of excuses not to go visit patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed. That's patreon.com/GAMEFULLY unemployed, which is spelled like it sounds.
Thousands of years ago, a puddle of slime had a bad dream, and from that slime crawled human beings, and from that bad dream grew the curse of sentience that has plagued humankind since that first slimy birthday. Now, in the distant cosmos, the ballad of humanity's folly plays out. A race of beings obsessed with their own destruction, and with making movies about the future. Bad movies about a stupid future. Ballads and tales and fables and prophesies of the year 1998.
In the year 1999.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
I think the machine's working again, Tom.
Did we connect our doodads to the electrodes, to the science electricity machine?
Yeah, it's been a while because it broke when we were fighting those giant rats.
Mm-hmm, yeah, because the giant rats also wanted our batteries.
Right. And
to build their own communicators so that they can more easily take over what remains of the planet.
Right.
So you can imagine how that went.
For the right for leadership and to marry the Rat Queen and all that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was a whole adventure.
Yeah, they need batteries to demonstrate their strength to the Rat Queen, and then she will choose her most favorite suitor from the bunch. So,
right.
As you can imagine, batteries very important to the rats.
Mm-hmm. And we turned out to be the suitors.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because of this.
We fucked the Rat Queen.
We absolutely fucked the Rat Queen, folks.
Yeah.
Write
but more
that
than
down
that,
in the canon.
More than that, we have a relationship with the Rat Queen.
Mm-hmm. We respect her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And she respects us.
Some light correspondence,
Yeah.
I'll toss Cheetos outside when I know they're around.
It's a shaky alliance now.
Yes.
And so things are getting a little better in that way. If people remember, if you're hearing this, we are in the future. Remember future, Tom?
I sure do, future Dave. How could I ever forget?
You remember how we're currently in the future?
We are. We are currently in the distant future, reaching out to the past, like the movie Frequency, but not like the movie Frequency in a litigious way.
Right. Precisely.
Yeah.
We have been... folks, we have been trapped in the year 2023, the far off year of 2023.
Yes,
and we are in a bombed out Hollywood Video, as you might recall.
Yeah, as you remember, the franchise that survived the streaming wars was Hollywood Video.
Yeah.
So luckily, all Hollywood Videos were built triple reinforced to protect our nation's most valuable resource in the event such as this. When the Rat Queen emerged from her subterranean realm to take over the planet. Mm-hmm. That is what happened. Right?
That's exactly what happened. It's been bleak, but if you've been hearing these transmissions, myself and Future Tom have been, going through the resources we have. And the resources we have is this return box. A lot of these tapes, all returned by the same person from the files we have here, Marco from the movie Omega Doom. And so I just gotta thank Marco for returning all these videotapes.
Bless Marco.
Bless Marco.
Had they not returned these videotapes at the right moment when they did, we might not have anything left.
Yeah, exactly. And we've been watching most of them, eating some of them, let's be honest.
And eating them after we watch them, Who needs to watch a movie more than once? Right?
Right.
Ridiculous. How wasteful.
And then yeah, exactly. And then we gain the knowledge of that movie forever. Mm-hmm. And we will be the keepers of the knowledge
It's
for the rat humans of tomorrow year.
Yeah, when we are enslaved by the Rat Queen and are allowed to make our human museum, this will be among the exhibits. We just absorb the knowledge. It's like the Matrix, but not like the Matrix in a litigious way.
Exactly. We are scholars of the past, and by past I mean these chronicles of the future. In the far-off distant year of 1990, or rather the decade. So we've been watching... What did we watch? We watched Class of 1999.
We sure did,
if you
Dave.
recall. We watched the other one.
Split Second, Future Dave.
Split Second. Yes. Thank you, Future Tom. Even though you just told me the name of it before this transmission, I forgot it again.
Yeah. Listen, you were trying to hand crank up the transmitter, so you were distracted.
It's very distracting because the process is incredibly erotic, and because the crank, it's one of them. It's like a jerk off crank.
Yeah, it's like a shake weight.
I don't know why. Yeah, it's like a shake weight. I'm doing it right now. And anyway, we
painted it to look like a dick, so that has something to do with it.
Of course, and so. We just looked at a film from 1990 called Robocop 2 to see if we could get some sort of idea of what went wrong in this futuristic hellscape and what we need to do to fix things. So we're going to look at this plot. We're just going to go through it and talk about it. And then we're going to talk about the world itself and what perhaps we could learn from it. What maybe it predicted, what it was
able to correctly predict about our society, and therefore what lessons we might extrapolate from it.
Yeah, and oh boy, before getting to that part,
prevent this tragedy.
Yeah, who would think that a film like RoboCop 2, a very cynical movie, could possibly predict anything about the future? I mean, come on now.
You say that, Future Dave. You say that.
I'm just saying, it's impossible. Can't possibly, and we'll circle back to that.
Yeah,
to that thought.
We'll come back to that idea.
But first, we're going to talk about the plot. This is a sequel.
It is?
Tom. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was just named after the character RoboCop 2.
Right, because it does. That's so. This movie, kind of amazingly, has a they say the title in the movie, and you'd never think they would say RoboCop 2. It's not just named RoboCop 2 because it's the second RoboCop. That actually plays into the plot.
Right. There is a character in the film that is the second RoboCop, and they call it RoboCop 2.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Which is
the
just
first RoboCop,
what a fuck you to RoboCop, huh? They call it RoboCop 2 while RoboCop is in the room.
Right.
Like in front
really
of his
rude.
face. They don't care at all about that metal man.
No.
They treat him like a jerk. Okay, sorry.
RoboCop 1 was directed by Paul Verhoeven, if you recall this, Tom.
I'm sure.
Yeah. It stars Peter Weller as Alex Murphy, a cop that became a robo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Do we need to? Are we people caught up?
Yeah, I think everybody's all caught up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say what people need to know is the wrong word. What people should know about the first RoboCop, right, is that it's a satire.
It's a satire of capitalism, specifically Reagan-era capitalism, gone way out of control. And what's funny about RoboCop is it's like, oh, wouldn't it be crazy and dystopian if the world was like this? And it's just like, I mean, spoilers.
It's kind
of is like that in the future. I'm sorry to be a bummer. I'm sorry to be a time bummer.
Yeah. And RoboCop 2, which is also trying to be a satire. It's not Paul Verhoeven directing.
There are some parts of it that I'm not sure if it knows it's being satirical.
I mean, that's the question of RoboCop, right? Because my memory of RoboCop, I didn't actually watch the first RoboCop until I was older. Did you watch it as a kid?
Oh yeah, constantly. So my experience with RoboCop has changed dramatically. Where as a little kid, I'm watching it being like, RoboCop looks so cool, he's badass. And then I watch it as an adult, I'm like, RoboCop looks like an idiot. He looks so fucking stupid in every scenario. Like he rides a motorcycle. Yeah, he rides a motorcycle in this movie, and it's the dumbest thing you've ever seen.
He rides a motorcycle, but first he is used as a ramp for a motorcycle.
He sure is.
He sucks. My cousins had like RoboCop toys and they were into RoboCop and I had never watched it. So my assumption was always like, oh, he's like cool. He's like an action. It's like the Terminator or something where we make toys. But it's very much a satire that then they were like, but we can also make toys and shit. We can also sell this. And what's weird is that this movie, and from my memory, RoboCop 3, neither of them try to be kids' films, and neither of them
not at all
shake off. Yeah, neither seem to shake off the satire that much. Like this movie is.
It begins with a commercial for a anti-theft device that traps a thief in your car and electrocutes him to death.
Yes, and it still has those like the satire commercials.
Mm-hmm.
It's Detroit in the near future. We don't know really when. And it shows that just crime is, despite like this corporation privatizing the cops, it appears that crime is continuing to be bad in this universe.
Mm-hmm.
We get a crime montage. I just want to note, shout out to the guy who blows up the gun store and then immediately goes for a new hat. As his first
it's
thing.
the first thing he grabs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly, Future Dave, an extreme edition of Force, aka RoboCop, doesn't seem to have done much to affect the crime rate, huh?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, this is a world of child crime.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that isn't just that children get murdered, which they do, but that children do the crimes.
Yeah,
more than you'd expect.
They're little crime people in this, which was true. That was a true prediction.
Yeah. RoboCop, he shows up.
Child gangsters took over every major American city.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And there's a drug now, and it's called Nuke. And RoboCop shows up. He does a Three Stooges interrogation of this guy, and he's like, "Where'd you get the nuke?"
Yeah.
And that leads him to a nuke factory. That is, run by a child and a bunch of henchmen that, just a real variety.
They look like a bunch of different dudes that won a raffle, got their seat number called to go down on the ice to try to shoot the puck into the hole. They look like guys who would never hang out.
Right.
They look like they didn't arrive there together. They will not be leaving there together.
Right. So we learn about these drug dealers, the Nuke. They're run by a child, or like he's like the second in command.
Yeah,
it's unclear. He's up there.
He's a big
further
wheel
up the chain. Yeah, he's further up the chain than you'd assume. A real go-getter.
He's a big wheel for a 12-year-old. He's a 12-year-old with a pinky ring. Incredible,
he's
incredible man.
He is the coolest child who ever lived.
His star burns briefly but brightly.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's the Jesus Christ of cool kids.
Because he does get murdered by a robot.
He sure does, but only after shooting the robot's hand off at one point.
Yeah, he does.
And
different robot.
Mutilating that robot.
There's so
he's
many.
He's like RoboCop's Joker.
He's RoboCop's greatest nemesis. This little boy. Because RoboCop can't shoot him.
Right.
And he tries to.
Yep.
His programming RoboCop's like innate programming has to take over to stop him from shooting a child in the face.
Yep.
It's like you could argue, but the kid is shooting at him. It's like, yes, but he's RoboCop. He is
and the kid knows
mostly bulletproof.
Yeah, it's really that RoboCop's kryptonite is a child.
Yeah,
his can't kill that
programming has to stop him.
It's amazing.
He's like, no, let me shoot this child.
We also We also learned that he's a robo-scab. There is a police strike happening.
He's such a creep. He's a robo creep.
Yeah.
He's stalking his widow. We mentioned that, right?
No, we haven't yet, but we are right now. Because, listen, there's a whole subplot where his widow is like suing the cops because RoboCop won't leave her alone.
She had to call the police on RoboCop.
Yeah.
Because he's just parked his car lurking in her neighborhood.
Right. And when we say it's his widow, we mean it's Alex Murphy's widow.
Yeah.
Because from her perspective, imagine this woman's husband dying and then his flesh being put on a cyborg that then stalks her.
Yeah.
And how disturbing that is. That truly is.
This fucking trash compactor just stomping around with her dead husband's face stretched across it like Hannibal Lecter.
And he's just
incredible.
I was just wondering what you're up to later. Fucking RoboCop is an absolute
follows
menace.
her on a date.
Holy shit.
And
who's this guy?
He seems nice.
I only want what's best for you.
And
Holy
little shit. What was our son's name?
Yeah, he is again single most horrified character. Fucking RoboCop. Like I could just sit here and laugh about the concept of RoboCop.
He sucks so hard. He's the dumbest thing ever.
He really is. This fucking RoboScab.
He's just this homunculus that's terrorizing this family and crossing picket lines.
Yeah. That's where we begin in this story. And he is essentially thwarted in his pursuit of these nuke dealers. And they disassemble him.
They kick
Kane,
his ass bad.
Yeah. Kane, the main bad guy who's not a child, we should mention, is addicted to nuke and deals nuke. After he disassembles RoboCop, I had to flag this. He looks at him and says, "You know, Jesus had days like this." Mm-hmm. To which I reply, "No, sir, he did not.
He did not have days like this. He never had a single day that was like this."
Yeah, never had Jesus disassembled a robot cop.
And then they drive by the police station, just throw RoboCop's pieces out on the ground like trash.
Yeah, and he's just on the ground like, oh. He spends, I would say, a large portion of this film just in agonizing pain.
Yeah,
and just twitching. At
one point, when they take him down to the police station's like science basement where RoboCop lives, where his cage is. Like he's literally in a kennel. He's in a kennel downstairs.
He really is. Yeah, we should know. It's like chain link.
Yeah,
it really is like a kennel for puppies.
It's a kennel. Yeah. He's sitting there dangling in one piece, and his face is like contorting. And one of the doctors goes like, "Look at him. He's in hell." And it's like, yeah, his whole existence is hell. Like not just this experience he's having. Like he's out there stalking his widow.
Right.
And after that, he gets yelled at by the cops and has some lawyer telling him you're a thing, you're a product, and make it's like his every waking moment is hell.
Yes. Yes. It's. We'll talk about this more later.
Imagine dying and then coming back to life as RoboCop.
Right.
just electrocuting his brain back to life over and over again.
It's wild to me that OCP is still in existence, especially after the first movie. Like when you get the headline CEO of robotics company thrown out a window by robot, or whatever happened to him in that.
Yeah,
it's just like
it would be like if Google built a robot and it threw its CEO out the window.
Yeah, and then we would be like, maybe no more of that.
Yeah,
but no, OCP is at it again. They are so the B plot is they are currently trying to build a new robot, and we get their previous drafts,
which we did have cops like that in the year 1990. if you remember.
That's true.
We did have cops
Yeah.
that were just metal men with skull heads.
Oh yeah, pretty much. if not internally or eternally, it's or externally, it's definitely like their souls. You know, will represent perfectly.
That's I like the first bad RoboCop that shoots everybody and then shoots itself in the head and its little lights go off. But for some reason, the second one made me laugh harder. Where it's just so funny. It walks out, it pulls its own head off to reveal its skull face, and just screams at the horror of its own existence and falls over.
Oh, it's
just
so good.
immediately, just like, Roar!
and this is a company.
Yeah,
this is like, and I will talk about that next, but it's not unbelievable for a company like this to exist. It seems, and so they're just making failure after failure, and they're like, we don't get it. Alex Murphy worked. Why aren't all these other hero cops working? And this woman who's like a corporate ghoul is like, she's a psychiatrist. And she's like, you don't understand. He had like loyalty. These people, they're also, their bodies were a big deal. We need to find someone who actually wants to become a robot. And what we're going to learn is she decides death row inmates are who to pick.
Yep. She picks a maniac who is addicted to drugs, a mass murderer who has a crippling drug dependency.
Yep. But not before RoboCop gets fixed up and reprogrammed with like so many directives that it just ruins his brain. And that's where we get the Little League
Crime League.
Yeah.
The crime team. Their coach is just having them rob an electronics store.
Yes. And RoboCop is now horrifying.
Because they turned him into a nerd. But it's also
like a scary nerd because he's not sure if he's going to murder a child.
Right, yeah, moment. Like he starts trying to, he reads a dead guy his rights because they heroically show up to the scene of this Little League team robbing an electronics store and shoot their coach in the face in front of him.
Yeah.
So he's trying to arrest the coach's dead body, and then his partner is like, "What are you doing, you metal man? You monstrosity, you unclean demon?" And he says, "I'm having trouble." And then he just walks inside toward the children. I feel like no.
Yeah. Don't get him near the fucking.
The robot.
What are you doing?
The robot's been behaving crazy. Just told you it's having trouble.
And now he is approaching children.
Let's keep it away from the kids.
Yeah. But the idea is like he's been like there's been like all these suggestions of ways RoboCop could have a softer image. And it's just he's been given so many directives that he doesn't know what to do, and he starts lecturing the kids about like about crime doesn't pay, and then about like nutrition, and they all just bail.
It's standard, like, and I guess we're going to talk about that maybe in the next section, I don't know. But it's standard, like, 80s, 90s action movie, like, due process is crap stuff, because, like, the gag here is obviously cops need to be nicer and more responsible, and so their version of that, it's like, oh, he's just a nerdy wimp.
Right.
Because he doesn't immediately shoot everybody.
Yeah, and then he pulls over to, like, yell at some kids for
playing in a fire hydrant,
Yeah. So he's all fucked up and he knows it. And he knows it so much that he walks up to a fucking like an electrical unit outside and grabs it and electrocutes himself.
Right. He's like, I'd rather be dead than fucking suck.
Right. They say something where they're like, he was trying to fry himself so he could reset his brain. And it's like, I think he might have been trying to die.
I think he was trying to end this nightmare existence you all have foisted upon him.
Right. But he stays alive.
It's like, hold on. Because the conceit, just real quick, the conceit is in the first movie is that all the cops work for OCP and they sign a waiver that means OCP gets to do whatever with them if they die in duty. So even though Alex Murphy signed that waiver, I'm sure he didn't think this was an option.
Right. Yeah, he might have thought like, I don't know, they might donate my heart to another cop or something like that.
The organ harvest. Not this.
Not robot, brain in a robot.
Put my face on a man-shaped battle tank. What is this?
His existence is such pain.
Yeah, it's just a nightmare.
If I got a Robocop tattoo, that's what it would say. His existence is pain. With a picture of Robocop's face.
His favorite catchphrase.
Can you imagine if he was like, he's walking around going, existence is pain, over and over again?
Yeah.
It'd be so good. No one would commit any crimes around him. That's for sure.
If he just patrolled the streets saying "kill me" over and over, pleading,
like, okay.
pleading with people to end his existence,
Like, no more crime.
that would clean up the streets.
Yeah.
They would be more scared of Robocop then.
It'd be incredible. Yeah, you just hear him at night. Like
Yeah.
he never sleeps. He just walks the streets at night. Like the fucking headless horseman, this legend.
Just moaning.
Oh, fuck Robocop.
Don't break the law. Robocop will come here.
Yep.
And it's
Oh,
not
no, Will, is he
jail
gonna
that you're
shoot me?
scared.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's much worse.
He's gonna cry. Holy shit.
He's gonna
Imagine
come here and
Robocop
weep.
crying.
He's going to come here and weep like a statue. You won't be able to move him. He's just going to
Yeah.
stand there for 9 hours and cry in your apartment.
And he's gonna tell you how much he misses his wife.
Yeah. He's going to make you look at pictures of them.
Yep. Oh, Christ. Robocop.
Yeah, man.
Amazing. So yeah, he this is where he gets on the bike. He gets knocked off a truck and then used for bike stunts. And then
Yeah, they ramp his dick. It's great.
right. He finally kills Kane, or he gets Kane, and by gets I mean he projects himself. He like launches through the truck window, and I'm pretty sure he just hits Kane so hard with his stupid metal body.
Yeah. He turns his 1,000-pound metal body into a projectile.
Yeah, he's
Just
essentially a cannonball.
Crashes into Kane. Yeah.
Yeah, that's all he's good for. And Kane has to go to the
Like a
hospital.
missile.
Yep. And this corporate lady who is a fucking maniac is like, I have a good idea. I'm going to take this drug addict criminal and I'm going to stick his brain in the most terrifying robot imaginable.
Yeah, this insane terrorist. I'm going to put this guy's brain into a robot death machine.
Right.
Meanwhile, never really explains in a satisfactory way what her line of thinking was here.
No, she's just a villain.
Yeah, I think she's just crazy. She's just a mad scientist.
Yeah, she really is.
Which we have those in the future, a lot of them.
Yeah, we sure do.
Mm-hmm.
OCP, meanwhile, has been trying to buy out Detroit. Did I get that right?
They are, yes. They are, Detroit can't afford to pay them to run the police department, and part of the contract that they made them sign was like if they default on their payments, they can repossess they can seize the city to get their assets. It's a hostile takeover of a city.
Right, yes. But they get another offer from an anonymous benefactor who's like, we will pay in cash, meet us here. So the mayor goes to meet, and it's the criminals. It's the
crime child. Crime boy.
It's the crime child is going to buy Detroit, which you let him. Let the child buy Detroit.
Yes, let little Johnny Pocket, the crime boy.
Yeah.
Crime child, let him purchase Detroit.
Yeah, and we really haven't talked about how great Crime Child is. Like, he has henchmen. He has a cop informant. He is just perfect. He's perfect.
Yeah, he's just
in every way.
He behaves exactly like an adult criminal.
Yeah,
like a crime adult, except he is crime
adult,
child.
But he's a crime child.
Yeah.
And he is like, listen, Mayor. We give you money, so you're not bought by a corporation, and in exchange, just decriminalize drugs. The city gets money. We can make the drugs safer. They literally say we can make the drugs safer. It puts money into the city, and it reduces crime if you're not going around trying to bust drug dealers and drug users. You could perhaps regulate it, tax it, instead of, I don't know, a police state.
Instead of building a Robocop.
Right. It's almost as if the criminalization of drugs leads to an industry designed to put people in jail, and maybe that's a bad system to have, says this child.
Says the crime
of
child.
1990s Robocop 2. And then the child is murdered. And it doesn't work. The drug addict Kane robot shows up and just does a whole lot of murder.
He kills so many people.
Yeah, OCP is like, we send Kane because
they don't want. They want to raid the city. They want to own the city.
Yeah.
So they're like,
we want to have a corporate police.
So it's like they already knew it was going to be a murder bot. Like as soon as they finished building RoboCop 2, they're like, perfect. Now send him to go murder some people for us.
It's a very bad idea, and it gets even worse when the new CEO does a presentation of RoboCop 2, which has he has a radioactive sign on him, and it's like, I don't think anybody wants this.
Yeah, I've thought about, he unveils RoboCop 2 in this middle of this huge press conference where he's talking about how he's going to rebuild Detroit. And I'm amazed no reporter in the audience just kind of raised their hand and was like, why does he have a Fallout sign on his chest?
Yeah. Are we safe right now? The answer is no.
Is that
because he whips out some nuke and he's like, we're going to get this off the streets. And it's like, so no one told him not to whip out the drug in front of the drug addict robot, huh?
Which it has a drug slot. It has a little slot that opens up with little hands that claw the drugs inside itself.
Right. They made a drug addicted robot.
Yeah.
Can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm. It has a drug slot, Future Dave.
Yeah, it does, Future Tom. It absolutely does. And so the robot is just like, give me the drugs. And at this point, I was thinking about how many CEOs have they burned through? This one makes it out okay, but
well, he's the old man in the first one.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's the one that fires Dick Jones.
Oh, okay.
So that RoboCop can then heroically shoot him out of the window.
Yeah, he sure does.
Boy, does he.
Ronald Cox.
Mm-hmm. Ronaldo Cox.
So it goes nuts for the drugs, and RoboCop has
and also
to fight
just
him.
because it's a murderer, you put a murderer in a robot body, the robot's going to murder some people.
It also has a lawnmower man face we didn't mention.
It super does, which one of the lady henchmen immediately recognizes him, and I'm like, no, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. It only looks like Kane because they tell us it looks like Kane.
Yes, 100%.
And it's the most generic computer face.
And basically, RoboCop fights as a robot in the streets. I love the part where the
20
CEO...
minutes. It's like the end of Iron Man. It's
it
just
really is.
RoboCop fighting this fucking Hulk all over the city.
It's whipping him around and shit. The CEO is watching, and he had a great line where he was watching it happen. He goes, "This could look bad for OCP."
Bad for OCP. As RoboCop's on the back of this giant metal beast.
Yeah. This could look bad. You know how we created two robots and they are now fighting each other? They're now fighting.
So many people have been shot.
And one of them just wants drugs.
One of them is grinding its metal teeth.
Yeah. And RoboCop wins, and that's the movie.
Yeah, that's the movie.
So we took you through the movie. I guess let's talk about this world and what we can learn from it and what it got wrong or right. Again, this is Detroit in the near future. The world itself, well, they point out that a nuclear plant has fallen apart and ruined the environment. You know, that certainly hasn't happened recently.
No, yeah, that definitely never happened.
Yep. Strikes because a tech corporation isn't paying people enough. Nope, nothing like today.
Nope. Yep.
Police threatening to strike. Not like today.
The privatization of public service. I mean, that was already happening in the 80s, which is part of what RoboCop was.
Well, yeah,
satirizing.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
These movies don't predict anything. It's just reminding us how nothing has changed.
Right. They're taking the thing and imagining it. It's like, that's satire. It's like, let's take this thing and stretch it to its most extreme conclusion. The problem is that the conclusion apparently wasn't that extreme, because we did have companies that basically run the country, and we did privatize social services to the point that it's like damaging society.
Right.
And
we did build an industry out of the drug war, you know?
Yep.
And that's the whole thing. That's why it's so hard to decriminalize drugs, because people make too much money.
And we did
putting people in jail.
Militarize and over police. Like, we militarize the police and over police, and we're still doing that. And yes, they are going to be using drones. So there will be using Robocops.
Yep.
That can shoot people.
Spot on, RoboCop 2.
Yeah.
They got one thing wrong. They have an ad for a sunblock because they got rid of
the ozone layer. Yeah.
Yep. And that is the one time in this movie where I'm like, haha.
Yeah.
So there, we actually repaired the ozone layer.
It wasn't that cynical. Yeah. We did repair the ozone until the Rat Queen destroyed it, of course. But
well, yeah. For a brief period. That's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
With all that aerosol. But, Rat Queen, she's got to look good, future Tom.
Oh, and yeah, that's true. Yeah, she's got to protect her delicate skin from the blazing sun, the blazing radioactive sun.
Speaking of style, I want to talk about the style and look of this future world, which is just the 90s.
Yeah, it's pretty much just the 90s.
We got some trash can fires. We have very it looks. The only thing that's futuristic in this, besides the robots, is that one truck, and it's just silver.
Right. It looks like a silver ice cream truck.
Yeah, I want to talk about the tech here too, but shout out to the henchmen we mentioned. One of them looks like a casino owning cowboy.
Mm-hmm. He sure does.
He's got like Clint Eastwood hair.
He looks like a riverboat gambler.
Yeah, one of them just looks like a Woodstock hippie, fucking Kane. And the other is a child.
The other is Crime Child.
Yeah, and it's like it's a
real motley crew.
It really is. So the technology, can't stress enough. This is a world where the cars look exactly the same. Oh yeah, by the way, cars that electrocute you. That's a reality, isn't it? There's that car, the Vengeance, that was going viral for having like pepper spray and electrical handles and shit.
Yeah.
So that is a reality, also predicted in this movie.
And you could extrapolate like stand your ground laws from that too, where it's like you are allowed to use lethal force on somebody if they're like within your personal space.
Right. Oh, and
like
as we're learning,
stealing your property.
Much like the Robocops in this world, CEOs don't make great decisions. It turns out they
never go to jail, Dave. They rarely go to jail.
If a certain CEO came out and said, "I made this robot that's addicted to drugs," that's not that far off in my head. Like that's not that surprising if that certain tech CEO did that. So yeah, that's spot on in this movie.
A certain social media blogging site owning tech CEO,
if he's like, I made a robot that does murder suicides in a big dumpy outfit.
I made a robot that shot itself.
Yeah. How did that, by the way, the one that tears off his mask screams, but it's just bones?
Yeah.
So that means that they've designed it to make like screaming sounds from
they
somewhere
put that
else.
in there, yep.
So the cars look the same.
Essentially, instead of license plates, they have barcodes.
Right, that's pretty much it. They use regular like VHS cameras. I would argue the technology in this movie looks generally worse than it did in 1990.
Right, it looks worse than 1990 stuff.
It really does.
Like even the computer stuff looks worse than what was currently available.
Right. Old cameras. She uses like a microphone to like hear faraway sounds, and that looks like a piece of shit. There's still arcades and not like home consoles.
And they're
there's no internet.
The arcade is loaded with only Data East machines because Data East made the Robocop video game.
That makes sense. And as we mentioned, there's a drug slot in a robot.
Mm-hmm. Now,
That's- if you're-
the mad scientist lady built that into that robot
Oh, yeah.
before she knew whose brain she was going to put into it.
Right,
So she just
you're right.
assumed it would need a drug slot.
Right, and she should have stopped and been like, "Is this rock bottom?"
Right, that was like that was part of the design, was that I'm going to make a robot that is addicted to drugs.
Right. But so I think I figured out this universe though. This is a world where instead of making any advancements, no internet, no computers, smartphones, none of that. This is an alternate timeline where we focused entirely on whether or not we could yank brains out of criminals and cops and shove them into robots. That with varying results.
Cram
But
them
that
into
is
tin cans.
Yeah, that is the only advancement this future has made compared to our timeline. Is that like we put everything aside? Because mind you, we can't, in our timeline, until I know the Rat Queen has some, plans, but
Right,
until
our
that's
brains
realized-
our brains are not going to remain in our bodies, future Dave.
No.
She will have
But-
them put elsewhere.
Up until right now, until that happens, that's the one thing our timeline hasn't been able to achieve. We have not taken a human brain and shoved it in an awkward robot. This world did that. They accomplished it.
By
and they are-
1990.
Yeah, and they are clearly obsessed with it, and it's very funny. And you could argue maybe if they had shelved this, they could have done better things. But they're obsessed. They're just like, okay, we know this is the right track. We know all of our future is dependent on our ability to shove brains in robots.
It's like when they keep trying to make 3D work.
Yeah, exactly.
Like-
it's
It's
that, but also you don't make anything else.
Yeah, it's the only. It
just
seems to
the
be their.
only
It seems to
thing.
be their only product.
Yep. That's entirely it. They're just like, listen, this
that-
is what we're hyper focused on.
That and a communicator, like a
Right.
like it has a telephone company that if you don't use it, you'll shoot yourself.
Right.
That's one of the ads suggests. I like my favorite thing about their two attempts at cramming a brain into a robot to see what happens. It's as if the question they asked was, if we cram a cop's brain / criminal's brain into this robot, will violence happen? And both times the answer has been yes.
Yeah. Both extremes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very funny. Like maybe,
What if we put a criminal's brain? Violence? Oh, yes.
yeah. Is this movie saying that perhaps it doesn't matter if they're a criminal or a cop, they're going to be violent and weird creeps and stalk their wives? Maybe you need to put like a non-violent occupation in a robot, or again, just throwing this out, maybe just shelve the whole brain and robot thing.
It's impossible.
And-
They've come too far.
Yeah. Other alternative theory is that we never see what the world is like outside of Detroit. So maybe this is just Detroit.
It might just be Detroit. That's true.
Yeah. Maybe Detroit is like, listen, you guys have your internet and like your all your modern fucking electric cars and shit. We're going to be over here making Robocops and you'll thank us one day.
Yeah. From your ivory
just-
towers.
Yeah,
With-
we just walled
with-
it off like Escape from New York.
Blazing Wi-Fi.
Yeah. We're just watching from afar like, man, Detroit.
Yep.
You gotta get your shit together.
We made two robots that you have to plug in.
Right.
Like Robocop has to go home to his kennel and be plugged in each night.
Right. He's so terrifying. Imagine Barbarian, but it's
It was
Robocop
just
down there.
Robocop down there, down in the dungeon. Imagine
The Detroit
imagine
dungeon.
exploring a dungeon and finding
Yeah, just like, are
like-
you my wife?
Right. It's like the fucking maze of the Minotaur, except it's just Robocop chasing you in a labyrinth.
He's so fucking scary.
No.
He should have been a horror villain. He looks like the Terminator, like while the Terminator is breaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like with battle damage.
It's like, what if the Terminator sucked?
Yeah, pretty much. It's like when he's just casually walking around without his mask on, in the police station, people should be horrified.
Yeah.
It should be a crime.
He looks like
RoboCop.
He looks like a ritual killing.
He really does.
Like, it's not something you want to parade around.
Yeah.
In polite
He's
society.
just the worst fucking idea ever made.
He's a real canvas of horror, that guy.
Yeah.
That fucking Tin Man.
We love him. Any other thoughts on this world? Did we learn anything?
I mean,
I feel like all we learned is don't do this.
yeah.
Like, in order to save the future,
we definitely should have listened to it in terms of not letting corporations take over and have so much sway, not letting them own stuff that are public services, and
for sure,
not letting them subtly descend into fascism.
Yeah, so I meant like lessons of like what can we pull from this world that we can use, and this is one where it's just like, okay, entirely back to the drawing board.
Pretty
like,
much.
Let's not use anything in here.
Yeah.
We don't. Yeah. Throw it all out.
We should have heeded their lessons, Dave. It might have saved the future, but
like class of 1999, it was like I could live like this. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do I'll dress like Stacy Keach. I'll do that fucking tomorrow. This movie, I'm just like, nope. I don't need any of this. With the exception of the one awesome kid.
Yeah, crime child.
Yeah, that kid gets to fire so many guns. And beat up RoboCop.
It's when he throws when he tries to strangle RoboCop's partner to death. You can tell he's killed before.
Yeah,
and he shoots a couple of cops. I've been thinking about it. It's crime child.
Right.
He has seen shit.
It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's. I've said this before. Imagine being that child actor, and like getting to do this movie, and like I would be so proud.
Yeah.
For the rest of my life.
I'm sorry we weren't better custodians of the future for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
we can still honor him by recruiting a child army ourselves.
By putting his brain into
that too. Yeah,
what you said.
Yeah.
It's the only way we're going to stop the rat. We need childs because they're the only ones small enough to fit into the rat tunnels.
That's true. And then maybe we can have a robo-rat at some point.
Yeah, we're definitely putting a rat's brain into a robot. That's happening.
Yeah, we're on to something here. Mm-hmm. And we'll get him addicted to drugs, obviously.
Well, yeah, I assumed that was understood.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, Future Tom.
Future Dave.
Is that it?
I think that's it. The communicator's running out of power, and the rats are coming back. We got to fight them for the batteries.
By running out of power, you mean my wrist is getting tired. But yes.
Yes.
We should probably close this out. So once again, to our unknown hero, Marco from the movie Omega Doom, thanks for renting all these movies.
Yeah.
So we could watch them.
You may have saved the future.
Yeah.
Not so far, but you may have.
You may, yeah. Not yet.
Not yet, but maybe. It's on the table.
It's a possibility. Yeah, exactly.
It's still in the mix.
And if you're listening to us in the past, another way you could help save the future is to help us out, our past selves, by going to patreon.com/gamefullyunemployed, GAMEFULLY unemployed. You can find all sorts of exclusive podcasts on there, such as Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, Fox Mulder is a Maniac, Star Trek The Next Futurama, and Spiel Boys. We watch movies every Friday night with our patrons, which I do believe a distant memory of us watching this with our patrons in the before time.
I'm sure we did before the sky fell.
Yeah, exactly. So you can check that out.
Yeah, and in that before time, as you're listening to this, and in the distant past, you can visit our store. We have a store. Head over to gamefullyunemployed.com where you'll find a link to our Teespring store, where we have all kinds of cool original artwork and designs you can get on T-shirts, mugs, stickers, posters, all sorts of things that will keep you warm after the sun's rays bake the planet, because it's been supercharged with so much radiation from the bombs that were dropped in order to stop the Rat Queen, but they weren't successful.
Right.
They didn't stop her, Future Dave.
No, it only made her stronger. Mm-hmm. Because of course it did.
Yeah.
And, the Robocops didn't help either, the rat robots.
Yeah, they didn't do anything. They just made things worse.
Yeah, they just tore off their faces, screamed.
Wandered the neighborhood. No.
Stalked their wives.
Yeah.
Fucking creep.
Scab, robo-creep. Just being a fucking creep.
Oh,
all right.
Weird. All right. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye, the past.